Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to the Perfectly Imperfect Spiritual Podcast. We have episode 61 today. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Marta, your host, psychic medium, spiritual teacher, and companion on this journey of remembering who you truly are and what your soul already knows. Today, I am joined by Mickey Eves, someone whose work carries so much heart, creativity, and compassion. She weaves mindfulness and kindness into everyday life in a way that feels grounding, playful, and deeply meaningful. So, here's a little bit about her in her own words. Mickey Eves is a growth mindset coach and creative wellness leader with over 2 decades of hands on experience as entrepreneur. She's a certified mindfulness meditation and breathwork teacher, workshop facilitator, as well as author and illustrator of both adult and children's books. She's known for blending mindfulness, creativity, and heart in all that she does. Miki is the creator of Kindness First, a clothing line, and the I Am necklace line, both centered around compassion in action, and Phyllis and the Healing Sprites, mindfulness based animated characters. Using positive psychology and a naturally light-hearted approach, Miki creates uplifting experiences that inspire reflection, laughter, genuine connection, and personal growth. Her work helps others rediscover their strengths, nurture self compassion, and find simple, meaningful ways to bring mindfulness into daily life, both personally and professionally. Miki, welcome. I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so grateful to be here with you today. Yeah.
I am very excited and I love what you share and the space you hold. And I'm really grateful to be able to find out more how you hold space for others and what you do. So I'm curious, can we start from kindness? When you think about kindness in this season of your life,
Mhm.
what does that look like for you?
Oh, that's a big question. Um, so I'll start with what it looks like for me personally. At 55 years old, it took me a really long time to recognize that when I treat myself with kindness and really discovering what does that look like and feel like for me? What does treating myself with kindness, how does that show up? When I was able to really tap into that, I started to show up really differently. I felt more nurtured and supported. I had more courage. I had a willingness to do things that before that I would um, really feel too intimidated to do. I would make excuses. I don't have enough education or I don't have enough
Mm,
experience. But when I created a foundation of kindness for myself, it didn't matter because how it turned out was how it was supposed to turn out. And if it wasn't exactly the way I thought it was going to be, often it's a stepping stone to something even better. So physically, I started to feel better when I met myself with kindness rather than looking at all my perceived imperfections
mhm,
as somebody who is looking at others on social media and their beautifully curated highlight reels of their lives
mhm,
and their
mhm,
filtered faces and bodies.
mhm,
It's really challenging, I think, for women in particular. Well, I don't know, it's probably for men as well. I can speak to women because that's the body that I'm in, to then look at yourself in the mirror and see the wrinkles and see the body shifting and the gray hair and just the changes that are not filtered, and still meet yourself with kindness. So when I learned to do that, it felt so much better on a daily basis, which meant then that I could show up in a different way. Um, so for me personally, that's what kindness means. Out in the world, I think there is such a massive need for people to be kind before they're judgmental
mhm,
or critical because there's so much negativity and noise and people with just loud opinions. Consumerism is at an all-time high, and kindness is kind of pushed over to the side, or it becomes the exceptional thing, right? Where people are noticing, oh, somebody did a kind thing for me, and it can be a really small thing that used to be commonplace, and now it's become an unusual event. So for me, leading with kindness is imperative because I think that's what we need to get back to, or to start um, uh, using as the foundation of who we are and how we show up in a much bigger way than it is being done. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
I love it. And I love that you talk openly about kindness towards yourself. So, an inward kindness and the outward kindness, because they're both important. But I'm
Mm.
just curious for anyone who's watching it, whether you have tendencies. You can ask yourself, do you have tendencies to maybe be more kind towards others as opposed to yourself? Or maybe it's other way around. I'm just leaving that question because I just had a thought. Maybe it's
Yeah,
something
for
you
sure.
can reflect on.
I used to be self-proclaimed people pleaser. So kindness was always given to others very willingly and very sparingly to myself. I would be
Mm,
kind to myself with the little pittance that was left over, if there even was any. And not from a, oh, dramatic hand on your forehead, woe is me kind of thing. It was just how I showed up, where I always put other people's needs and wants far in advance of my own. And it didn't work. Oh, I mean, it worked for a little while until I started to recognize that it was actually making me feel really sick. So yes, I used to, but I've worked really diligently at making sure that I know what is important to me, put myself on the priority list, treat
mm,
myself with great amounts of kindness, and then give to others from that place. So there's no resentment, and there's no um, feeling put upon. It's just I'm doing it because I wholeheartedly want to do it, and I feel good in doing it.
mhm. And for anyone who's listening, watching to this, watching this conversation, and that person has no idea, how can I be kind towards myself? I have no idea. Where do I start? What's any simple tips that you could leave?
Yes. So one of the first things that I started to do, and it actually made it kind of fun. We have this constant narration that runs in our head all the time, telling us what we're already seeing, we already know, but this narrator or this inner critic will tell us what it thinks that, we're not good enough at, and what we can't do, and why we shouldn't, and why we're too tall, too fat, too short, too whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I actually gave it a name and wrote down a description of, well, what does this critic look like?
Mm-hmm.
And gave now I use my imagination a lot. So that was a fun thing for me to do, to sort of give this critic an actual form, so that when I caught myself being really critical, I could speak to this other little character that I had
Mm-hmm.
created and start questioning, well, is that even true? Or are
Mm-hmm.
you just somebody who didn't get what you want, didn't get what you need, you feel insecure? How can I help you in feeling more supported and loved and kind? And then I noticed I stopped having the conversations as much because the critic died down.
Mm-hmm.
No, of course, it's still there from time to time, but not nearly as much as it was, because I can catch my thoughts, question them, and ask, what do I actually need in this moment?
Mm-hmm. I love it.
Yeah, so
And I remember doing something similar years ago, and I would depict that inner critic as a very annoying monster. And I would exactly see the colors, and like
yeah,
externalizing and like being then an observer really helped me. Uh,
yes,
I love
yes.
that.
Yeah, and when you say to your critic, like, "You can come with me, that's fine, but
Mm-hmm.
you don't get to tell me what to do, and you don't get to tell me what you think I can't do." Um, they say on average, the average person has about 80,000 thoughts a day. And on average, 64,000 of those thoughts are negative.
Mm-hmm.
On average, 90% of our thoughts are the same ones we had yesterday. So when you look at it from that perspective, there's not a lot of growth that's gonna happen in there, right? You're staying in the same cycle, listening to the same stories, most of them which are not true,
Mhm.
and then we wonder why we don't feel so good. So we have to
Mhm.
actively start doing something to question, well, is this actually supporting me? So,
Mhm.
yeah.
And what advice would you give to people who are now thinking, okay, I want to create a new story. I want to create literally a new, well, I wouldn't call it monster. If we talk about inner critic being a monster, a new character. I want to create a new story about who I am. How do we start?
Well, I think it starts by, first of all, looking at what you can get rid of. And if that's the critic and calming the critic down and meeting them where they're at, giving them the love, the support, the loving kindness that they clearly
Mhm.
didn't have because they're critical. And if they felt
Mhm.
loving kindness, they wouldn't be that way. So meeting that part of you where that is. And then from there, the rest just happens. And then you start to notice the things that bring you joy. The little things like
Mhm.
for me, I love looking at the sparkles on the snow. Like,
Mhm.
that's a free thing, but it catches my attention every single time. I love making pictures in the clouds and, things like that, where if I'm busy being critical and feeling yucky on the inside, I don't notice those other things because my
Mhm.
body's navigating feeling gross. But if you can start to loosen the grip on the critic, the other stuff will find its way in because you've made room. So for me, it's not so much about creating another character that's positive or happy. That just
Mhm.
happens organically.
Mhm. I
Yeah.
love
And
it.
it's one thought at a time. That's how it happens. One thought at a time. Tiny little steps. And we have millions of moments every day to question, change, get wildly curious about, well, what would I like it to be like?
Mhm.
So I think that's how, for me, that's how I would
Mhm.
suggest
I
somebody.
love it, and to take one step at a time, so it's not
Yeah.
overwhelming and it's
Right.
manageable.
Yes, yes. I love to underwhelm myself with new tasks so that you go, "Oh, of course I can do that. That's not a problem." And then you do it
Mhm.
again tomorrow. Maybe you do a little bit more because you don't feel overwhelmed.
Mhm.
So, yeah, yeah.
Beautiful. Well, your path has so many layers: teaching, creating, illustrating, designing, coaching. What was the moment when you realized mindfulness and creativity weren't separate for you, but actually the same doorway?
Um, when I gave myself permission to be curious.
Mm.
So I know for me, when I was growing up, everybody is taught through their role models, their parents, their teachers, their whoever the people are that are around them, how you're supposed to show up. And I struggled for a really long time because there were so many things that I was interested in that I didn't fit in the box of get a job.
Mhm.
And so I was doing all kinds of things and not really doing any of them really well because I couldn't put my focus to them as much as it needed to be because I didn't feel like it was going to be recognized or supported. When I actually sat down one day and wrote a list of all of the things that I love, and they didn't make any sense in a connected way. But when I looked through the list and then I started to see the common threads,
Mhm.
that for me was about being still and being quiet and letting my body and my mind, my heart, show me what was there the whole time.
Mm.
And it was from there that I started to really dive into mindfulness because I had the answers. But that was never mirrored back to me as a child that you have the answers. It was, do X, Y, and Z because that's what we do. And when I started to recognize that, oh, I'm not meant to do it that way.
Mhm.
I'm meant to do it my own way. That's when it really started to come into play for me and to recognize that it's not going to be the same as anybody else's cookie cutter way of doing things. That's not who I am.
Mm-hmm.
So I leaned really hard into mindfulness. Um, I had a heck of a time meditating at the very beginning because I wasn't shown a way that worked for me, and I'm stubborn, like really, really stubborn. And so I would have these images that would block any of the meditation from happening or allowing me to be in that still space. But once I learned different ways to do it, it opened up a world for me that was just, it's mind blowing. It's mind blowing. And the opportunities to explore and do things very differently that feel holistic, um,
Mm-hmm.
it's exponential. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And what is mindfulness to you? For anyone who has no idea what it is, because I know it's very popular, but we hear meditation, mindfulness. What is it?
Yeah, so mindfulness is a real buzzword that we hear right now, and we hear a lot about it in schools, and it's all over the place. It's about being present right where you are with what's happening right now. So it's like, what does the chair feel like underneath you? What's the temperature of the air? Are you smelling anything? How are you feeling? What's your posture like? What's your breathing like? All of those things. Do you need anything right now? So, being mindful for me is being present in the moment that you're in to experience without judgment what's happening right now.
Mm. And do you think it can allow our nervous systems to reset or to recalibrate by becoming
Well,
present or mindful of here and now? I'm curious.
it's incredibly informative. So, the act itself, if you're feeling really nervous and anxious and kind of spinning out, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
about an activity or something that's going on in your mind, being mindful is going to give you the information that you need to reset your nervous
Mm-hmm.
system. But I think at first you have to just recognize, okay, well, where am I? And I
Mm-hmm.
love that phrase of be where your feet are,
Mm-hmm.
because our heads will go off in 1,000 different directions. And once you allow yourself to become mindful, then you can take the breath
Mm-hmm.
and do the things that allow your nervous system to settle, to create a sense of safety. So you can then um, understand at a deeper level, what do you actually need? What
Mm-hmm.
is helpful in this moment? Not just the story that's going to grab your attention because it's loud, but you shut off to other opportunities and different options when you're not mindful.
Mm-hmm.
So to answer your question, yes, and.
Mm-hmm. So I'm curious about that. And so once we are mindful and we are really connected to and really focused,
Yeah,
I'll use it metaphorically. We are concentrated on our body, on our feet. We are here and now. We stop spiraling.
yeah.
What can we do now? What's the
Okay.
next step?
So it depends where you are. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, when I go for a walk in the forest with my husband and my husband is often like many, many feet ahead of me with one of the dogs, and he's doing the walk and he's doing the walk to finish the walk. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm stopping and I'm looking at the clouds and I'm noticing the little frost bits on the leaves. And so for me, that's mindful. That is really taking in the moment that you're in, because you're never going to get that moment back again, right? We only get the moment we're in one time. And for me, I've learned, don't don't hurry through them. Don't hurry through them. So if you're, just say, if you're in a setting where maybe you have to have a conversation with somebody and it feels unsettling or you're not sure how it's going to go, what you can do is, if you if you notice your breathing, for example, and if you're just non-judgmental, just notice your breathing. That's going to bring you right to this moment. And if you want to feel a little more grounded, a little more centered, if you allow yourself a nice full inhale, and then you pause at the top of your full inhale. And then when you exhale, make it much slower and longer than your inhale was. And then pause at the bottom of your empty breath. That creates a sense of safety, because when you are in fight, flight, or freeze, your breathing is shallow and short. It's
Mhm.
quick. When it's slow and regulated, you can't panic. If you were trying to run from the proverbial bear, you would not
Mhm.
be breathing in a nice, slow, regulated way. So that's a really easy one you can do. Another one that's a little bit more, um, if you're a visual person, when you take your nice slow inhale, when you exhale, you can imagine that it's like a golden thread of breath that's coming out, like a tiny, tiny little thread. And you can actually hold the end of the thread and you can weave it around and play with it.
Mhm.
Almost like if you've ever had a sparkler when you were kids, right?
Mhm.
And you can see the light sort of catching up behind your movement. Let your breath do that. That can also bring you into a really nice state of calm. So those are
Mhm.
just 2, like, your breath is with you all the time. Those are 2 things that you can do, pretty much anywhere that you are. Yeah. But it's about, paying attention to, what does the sound of the clock sound like in the room? Can you let yourself get wildly curious about that? What do your feet feel like on the floor? And, like, there's
Mhm.
so many things you can do, just tiny little things, but it can bring you to the here and now, and it just regulates your system to feel safe and right where you are.
Mhm. I love it. And I love that metaphor with the sparkles.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about drawing and coloring?
Oh.
What's your view? Like, can we talk about that?
Oh, of course. When I work with kids, kids are so open to do it. Adults are it's fascinating to watch an adult if we do a workshop where there's, whether it's painting or drawing or,
Mhm.
just even doodling, adults get really reserved. And they're looking over at the people around them to see, what are they doing? Oh, they're the
Mhm.
artist. I'm not good at it, right? We lock
Mhm.
into that. It's not for me, it's for someone else. One of my favorite things to do with people is to do a painting, where you just spray the paper with water so that the paint is not going to stay still, and
Mhm.
you put the paint on the paper in no particular pattern, or like you just squeeze it out of the tube onto the paper, and then you put a sheet of saran wrap or an old plastic bag or something over top of it, and then you put your hands on the plastic and you
Mhm.
close your eyes, and you can put music on and you can move your hands to the music, or you can think of something that feels lovely for you, like call up an experience that is just so wonderful, and let the energy move through you and pour out your fingertips. When you peel the plastic off, it looks like this beautiful tie-dye painting. Then if you take a little bit of salt and you pinch the salt, you close your eyes and you sprinkle the salt over the paper in no particular place, like you're not putting it
Mhm.
anywhere in particular. When the painting dries, there are beautiful images that show up in the negative space, in the painted space, in the salt, in the things that you would never anticipate showing up. And I love it because it's an activity that you cannot predict the outcome,
Mhm.
because we get locked into, it's supposed to look a particular way. And then we
Mhm.
limit our creativity, we limit our willingness to play because we're trying to make it look a certain way.
Mhm.
So I love doing things with my non-dominant hand. And now that I've been doing it more with my non-dominant hand, they're getting more equal, which
Mhm.
because I'm using it more often. But I love giving myself the opportunity to explore and play and be okay with how it turns out.
Mhm.
If you don't like it, you can recycle it. It's not, but have the experience for having the experience, not for the outcome. You don't
Mhm.
have to sell it. You don't have to be a paid artist. You don't, like, just have the experience. Play for the sake of playing.
Mhm.
Does
I
that
love
answer
it.
the question? Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, it does. No, I've had like various random thoughts, but one of those thoughts is that it's my children who taught me to play again.
Yeah.
And I've been seeing my daughter's like pictures with the salt and the crystals,
Yes.
uh, and years ago I enrolled myself in various art classes, and in the past I would have probably thought, oh, they're very not practical whatsoever. And I attended even a stained glass workshop, and I really enjoy the process of doing it.
I
I'm
know.
not an artist whatsoever, but in a way I feel like everyone's an artist. But
Yes.
it's very enjoy well, I'm enjoying the journey, and then like not having the pressure of needing to do it, but just like being in the process. There's something calming about it.
Oh, if you let it be, because I think a
Yes.
lot of people come in with a very different mindset of I have to be good.
Mm.
It has to be good, and we have to let that go, because if you go in with a beginner's mindset and you get wildly curious about what the options are, you're going to discover things that I have to do it this way.
Mm-hmm.
Only but it provides you a very limited perspective of how to do something. But if you go in with this beginner's mindset of, "Oh, tell me more. This
Mm-hmm.
is fascinating. Look at how this color blends with this one," and that's where the magic is. Yeah.
Mm.
I had a little guy in one of the coaching sessions that I was doing with him say to me, and it is one of the best testimonials that I've ever heard, and I think about it all the time. He
Mm-hmm.
looked at me and his little face lit up from inside, and he says, "It's like we're filled with magic, isn't it?" I was like,
Oh.
"Yes."
Mm-hmm.
That's what we need to get back to.
Mm.
And
Yeah, I love it.
yeah, and I think kids are moving away from that, because there's so much stuff online, so many different ways that kids are being told what to think, how to think, what to do, that they're losing the connection with just play, with experiencing
Mm-hmm.
who are you authentically? What do you want to do? Do you want to color the sky gray or orange? A great, go for it. Whatever. Doesn't matter
Mm-hmm.
how you want to do it. You want to make the dog green? Do it. Um, we're moving away from that. And I think 2020 had a massive impact on kids and parents that will take, I think it's going to take decades for that to undo. And I think it's important for parents to be really conscious about helping themselves feel secure, curious,
Mm-hmm.
grounded, being okay with not knowing, having open conversations, and helping the kids who were thrown onto screens and said, "Here's your life for the next little while," helping them disconnect from that as much as you can and reconnect with being human, and not being told what we have to do all the time.
Mm-hmm. So important. And
Mm.
I remember one of my children, he's neurodivergent, autistic, and he's got ADHD. And he's been enjoying playing. He's still playing his way. And he, well, not only taught me about the, well, I guess I want to say the society and people's reaction, because I remember my son used to be he used to be a member of it's called Earth Calling Club. So they would spend time in the woods, and he is also a member of an adventure club where, so basically I have two children, and I would take a bag of spare clothes and I would tell them like go and play, and they would play in mud, in sand. But so I would pick up my son from this club, and other children from the class would come first, and they would want to report to me, you will see Anthony, he is like so dirty, covered. And I'm like, you'd better go and have fun as well. So what I did, I bought a cover meant for dogs for my car, a protection, like a waterproof one. But Anthony had fun when they would do like river walking, he would throw himself in the water. When they would do camouflage, he would be covered. But they would enjoy. But I realized not every parent allowed their children, because those children who were reporting, they were like so stressed, they didn't want to make their clothes dirty.
Yeah.
Whereas I would tell my children, like, go have
It's a
fun.
success story if you come home dirty.
Yeah, I know, like just a
Oh.
random thought.
It's
uh,
beautiful. I think kids need that opportunity to go and explore for themselves and not be bubble wrapped and be told, "Don't do that." So of course you're gonna protect your kids, but the kids I think are being, um, they're not being afforded the opportunity to be a kid the way their little brains need to develop. To
mm,
discover by making mistakes. Parents want to helicopter parent and not have them experience anything uncomfortable. Well, you have to have things feel uncomfortable. You have to be told no.
mm-hmm,
You have to not make the team or hand your project in late and get a 0 because you didn't do, like, you have to have those experiences. And
mm-hmm,
I think parents, like, I'm hearing parents are going on job interviews with kids.
really.
Like,
Wow.
yeah, to me, it's just mind-blowing, and
Mm,
we need to let them have the opportunity to experience life, and the parents need to do their own work to discover, why are you feeling that you have to hyper protect them,
mm-hmm,
and can you let them have the experience? Can you let them be told no? Can you let them get dirty? Can
mm-hmm,
you let them hand in a project that you look at and go, "Ooh, that's kinda awful." Let them do it. Let them have the
mm-hmm,
experience with the other adult, right?
mm. And maybe we should allow ourselves as adults to experience life as well through play, through creative outlets,
Yes.
and to find magic.
Yes,
Uh,
absolutely, absolutely. Adults are reserved. They're too busy a lot of the time, right? They're too busy doing life, not being a human being. They're a human doing. And it's really unfortunate because the kids will they will look they will watch what you're doing and they will model that. Not so much what you're telling them. They
mhm.
will watch what you do and they will do that.
Yes, they certainly do. Can we talk about your clothing line? Well, your kindness first line, because I know it carries such intention. So, what inspired you to create physical things like clothing and then jewelry that carry messages?
Yeah, so, um, I wanted something that I felt that made me feel really cozy, that was comforting, that I love a T-shirt or a sweatshirt that's got a really good message on it.
Hmm.
Um, and so Kindness First became my brand because it's a core value for me. And I think it's something that it was, so when I wear the sweatshirts and it just says kindness first on it, I guarantee you the cashier at the grocery store goes, "Oh, I love
Hmm.
that. That's a great message." It's simple. It's not telling people what to do. It's a reminder of a really nice way to show up in the world. Um, so I researched and I found a place so I'm in Canada,
Hmm.
and I found, a place that's in Montreal, which is in Canada as well. So everything is Canadian made. The bags that I've got, they're all, the material is made in Canada, and everything is sourced here. So I tried to keep it as local as I possibly could.
Hmm.
Um, but I love the fact that there's an easy way to feel cozy, to feel comfortable, but also share a nice message, with other people who, without actually sharing a word, they can just read it, and so I
Hmm.
love it from that perspective.
Hmm.
The jewelry, this is the necklace here that I've got on. The idea for this came from, I was coaching with a young teenager, and she was somebody who is like crazy talented, super kind. She's beautiful. She's athletic. She's wise. All of the things, right? That if you were to say, I don't know, she was a brilliant little soul. She couldn't see that in herself, and I thought, okay, she needs something that will help to ground her and to remember that she's loved, that
Mm,
she is more than her test results, more
mm,
than her ability to dance, more than her ability to sing, more than how many people like you, who's judgmental of you, all of she needs to remember who she is at the core. So that's where the design for this necklace came from, and it's done to model the Mobius twist, I think it's called, where it's the eternal twist. So if you run your
mhm,
finger on it, like, you never come to the end of it. And so it says, so I am is the brand. I am, this one says loved on the one side.
mhm,
On the other side, it's got a little raised heart, so that when you're feeling like you need a little grounding, or you're in contemplation, or you're upset, you can actually just hold it and you rub it and you feel the heart on the back, and your thumb fits beautifully in the little hole in the center. Um, and it's pretty. Like, it's a really
mhm,
nice piece of jewelry. It's not an app that you have to turn on to learn how to meditate, or to let me just go get the thing. It's you have it with you at all times. Um,
mhm,
so that's where that came from. And it will this is the first one in what will be a whole collection. So there will be, I am wise and I am courageous.
mhm,
I am, and they'll all have a slightly different shape and a different symbol on the back. But I thought women need to know that they are loved, they are brave, they are strong, they are courageous, they are so much
mhm,
more than um than what it appears on the outside. We're bigger than that. And sometimes we
mhm,
just need a gentle reminder of all of the things that we're worthy of and that we're capable of. So yeah, so that's where that came from. And again, it's made from it's women in Toronto who make them. Uh,
mhm.
it's Canadian sterling silver. So again, I tried to support as much local as I possibly could with the talent and the materials and all of that, because that's
Mhm.
important to me. Yeah,
Yeah, I love it.
thank you.
Yeah. Well, something tactile, something small, but something we can, I know, touch during the day, and then like people have an opportunity to reconnect and like, yeah, I love the idea.
Yeah, I have women saying to me, I just find myself holding it a lot. Like, I just hold on, because it brings them comfort to just have it in their hand. So yeah, so I love that, because that's the whole purpose of it, right? Is a constant reminder that you are so much more. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. No, I'm having again various thoughts. I'm thinking, my daughter's 9 now, and having being a mom to a daughter in this society, it is very, very challenging
Yeah.
with the influence of social media and how she should behave, how she should look, and yeah,
Yes.
I feel it is so powerful, that jewelry, and it can counterbalance lots of other messages that we don't want. Well, we
Right.
children are exposed, but like so that we can maybe override some of the messages so
Yes,
they can be
because
anchored.
there are a lot of messages. And again, right, even like with your daughter being at school, the kids that she's around, they're going to have different experiences at home that will lend her friends to show up in different ways, and give them different experiences, and kids need to have a good foundation of who they are to be okay, even if they're hearing messages that don't match how they want to feel. So I remember one of my daughters, my oldest daughter is 27 now, but one of her friends when she was growing up, this little spitfire of a girl that she hung around with, just she makes me, to this day they're still best friends. She
Mhm,
makes me laugh because she was one of those kids who would never pretend she knew something when she didn't. And even today she'll go, I don't know what that means, tell me about that. I
mhm,
don't know what that word means,
mhm,
or whatever it is. Where a lot of times people will, they'll just they'll pretend because they don't wanna
mhm,
be judged, and they don't wanna, and this little kid at, like, 7 years old was so comfortable just going, "I don't know, tell me." And she
mhm,
still, to this day, I'm like, "That is brilliant," but you don't get a lot of kids that are so confident in who they are to say, "No, no, no, this is me. Take it or leave it. I don't have to show up differently to be accepted by you." Uh,
mhm,
so yeah, it's really, really important to be able to give our kids a foundation that allows them to feel really confident with who they are, and still hear those other messages and just go, "Oh, that's for you." I don't choose to absorb that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Which is not then easy to admit to the, well, my children attend the mainstream schools, so I wouldn't be able to, well, it's sometimes not convenient, I guess, for the teachers when children question and really
Yes. Oh,
try to make the sense of the world and
yeah.
yes.
The teaching job is not just teaching their curriculum anymore. These teachers now, they're caregivers, they're behaving like social workers, they're, mediators, they have so much on their plate right now. It's a tough, tough job to be a
Mhm,
teacher, for sure. Yeah.
mhm. Could
Mhm.
we talk about your animated characters?
Oh, yes, yes. So, Phyllis and the Healing Sprites came to me through this list that I was telling you about at the beginning that I wrote down of all of the things that I loved. And it was things like, I love doing things with my hands. I love color. I love energy work. I love storytelling. I love drawing. I love helping people feel better. Blah, 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 blah. And through, when I was being very mindful and just saying, well, what's here for me? What can I do with this? I got this intuitive message to create healing sprites. And they have evolved over time, but what they are now, they are 7 little characters that are aligned with the energy chakras. So the
Mhm,
seven energy chakras in the body, and each of the characters represents, they're the 7 colors of the energy chakra or the rainbow, and they represent the energy of each of the chakra. Each of the characters have little idiosyncrasies and different personalities, um, and so they live on a farm. They grew in the garden magically in
mhm,
Phyllis Nellie Fanny is the quirky old inventor who owns the farm. She went out to the farm one night and she put her hands up to the full moon and she said, "Moon and stars, I don't know what to do. I want to share my life, and I want to help the children. And how do I do this?" And she made a wish from her heart. She went into bed, and the moon shone a moonbeam into her garden, and the stars twirled and sprinkled their stardust into her garden. And when she woke up in the morning, the healing sprites were born. And so she shares her farm with these beautiful little healing sprites that are navigating the world and learning how to show up and having different experiences based on their personalities. Um, and I love them so much, because it's such a great way to express what's going on inside for me, how to help kids, taps into storytelling. I love the art side of it. There's something super powerful about these characters. I used to hand sew them all, and they came with guided meditation. So they were actually stuffed characters, and I
mm,
would sit at the kitchen table and I would hand sew them and create them for kids. And I was at a school one time doing an elementary school doing a workshop, and I had them there just as like a story starter.
mhm,
And the librarian said to me, "What are those?" And so I told her, and she said, "Well, there's a little guy in our community class." She said, "Could you could we show them to him?" And I said, "Absolutely." She said, "Okay, but let me just tell you," she said, "this little guy's had a lot of trauma in his life." So she said, "He won't make eye contact with you, and he's nonverbal." So I said,
mhm,
"Okay." And, like, she's like, "So do like, there's no touching, there's no." I'm like, "Great." So we go
mhm,
in, and this little guy's sitting on the mat, and he's playing with, like, big Lego blocks. And I sat down beside him, and I had the stuffed healing sprite on my lap, and the teacher in the room said to him, "This is Mickey, and she has something that she wants to share with you."
mhm,
And he looked over at me. Now, this is a kid, keep in mind, that doesn't make eye contact and is
mhm,
nonverbal. He looked over at me, he looked down at the healing sprite that was on my
mm.
lap, and he said to me, "What's its name?" And so in my peripheral vision, I can see the teacher and her jaw has, like, in the cartoons.
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh my gosh, what is
Mm,
happening?" And I said, "Well, you know what? I don't know." I said, "I don't know what its name is because they speak mostly to kids." And I said, "Maybe if I just held it a little closer to you,
mm,
it would share its name with you." I said, "But you might not hear it like a word. You might hear it like a message in your heart." I said,
Mm.
"Would you like to try that?" And he nodded. So I just held it a little bit closer to him. He leaned in. Now they're called Healing Sprites, and at this time, every single one of them was completely unique in their patterns and colors. He looks at me and he says, "It said its name is Unisprite."
Mhm.
Now, he'd never heard what they were called before because
Mhm.
they weren't on like, they weren't a product that was available unless you spoke directly to me. He used the word "una," like meaning singular, and
Mhm.
"sprite." So
Mhm.
he too, I believe, got this downloaded message of what they were, and I said, "Oh, that's fantastic. Would you like to hold it?" I said, "They're
Mhm.
great for hugging," and he nodded. He took the Healing Sprite and he
Oh.
squeezed it and hugged it, and he marched around the room showing all of the other kids. The teacher looked at me and she said, "What is that thing?" So, I knew in that moment that these characters, by design, by energy, were meant for a much bigger purpose because the kids
Mhm.
connect with them. They understand it. It's a safe place to sort of lean into where they can just tap into what feels safe for me. So that's how they started. So now I'm working on getting them turned into an animated television series, which is a massive, massive process. So in the meantime, I'm going to do what I can do and create books, start a YouTube channel, those kinds of things, and keep into the storytelling. But that's what they are, and I fully, wholeheartedly believe that they are meant for a much bigger, bigger purpose in this world. So, but they're
Mm.
definitely my happy creation place. Yeah.
Mm. Thank you for sharing
Yeah,
this
of course.
beautiful story, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen
Thank you.
with this part of your, I guess, life. I don't want to call it business.
Yeah.
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 Hmm. Could you share with the viewers and listeners what has grounded you the most through the changes, reinventions, and seasons of being a businesswoman?
Yeah. What has grounded me the most? I guess for me, it would be knowing that there are things that I wanna do, like, as a businesswoman. Everything that I'm doing has the same foundation, although there are some animated things, there's jewelry, there's clothing, there's coaching. It all comes from the same place. So I know what my why is. My why is that I wanna help people to connect with what makes them feel really good, that makes them feel, empowered and important and valuable. So I think for me, I can keep coming back to my why. And when things get difficult, then I zoom out and I look at the big picture and I think there are people who are waiting to hear my message. And it may not be unique because there are so many people doing something that's very similar, but the way that I share it might be exactly what they need to hear. So that has kept me really grounded. And the fact that I need to keep myself as clear and curious about possibility and potential as possible so that I can make that happen.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I love it. And one more tip or a couple of tips
Yeah.
about, well, when we face self-doubt, because I think it's a common, we touched upon it, but how do
Yeah.
you personally navigate self-doubt when it shows up?
Self-doubt. I ask myself who taught me that? Who taught me
Mhm.
that it's not possible? Let's just go with a not possible is the self-doubt or
Mhm.
too hard. Who showed me that?
Mhm.
Oh, it was this person. Well, are they an exemplary role model for how to do
Mhm.
it? Are
Mhm.
they living were they living in this time frame where there are options and opportunities and different ways of doing things that there were then? And if the answer is no, then maybe I have the front seat of how to do it differently. Be like
Mhm.
somebody saying to you, "Oh, the very best job that you can get is selling encyclopedias door to door." Well, at one time, that was maybe true. Now
Mhm.
it is probably you would never sell a set of encyclopedias ever. So that information that used to be true no longer holds true today. So you have to question when you have self-doubt, who is actually who did you learn that from? Is it still true? Who
Mhm.
do you need to ask for help? Do you need more information? How do you move through the self-doubt? Talk to people who've done the thing that you're trying to do. Yeah.
Thank you. And what's the final message that you would like to leave the viewers and listeners with?
Final message. Um, get super curious about who you are outside of your roles and your responsibilities, outside of what you've been taught and shown how to do. Get wildly curious about what is uniquely yours and how do you want to show up in the world? What do you want your legacy to be? Lean into that.
Mm, thank you. And one last question.
Yeah.
How can people work with you and where they can find you? And I'm going to add all of the links to the description of the podcast.
Yeah, for sure. So I have some really great new online coaching programs that are starting. That's all on my website, which is mickieeves.com. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, and I'm deciding whether to get onto TikTok or not. I'm not there yet, but possibly in the near future, I will be on TikTok as well. So Instagram, Facebook, my website, mickieeves.com. And everything else is Mickey Eves. And then if you just search that, I think I don't know what the actual handle for Instagram is, but if you just search my name, I'm sure it will come up. Or you can go to Kindness First, is also on Instagram and Facebook. So, yeah.
Miki, thank you so much for sharing your heart, your wisdom, and your beautiful energy.
Oh, thank you for
I really
having me.
appreciate you. I
Thanks. Oh, I
really do.
appreciate being here and thank you for everything that you're doing for all the listeners and sharing the amazing information that you are. It's so needed. So thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. And I want to say thank you to all of the viewers and listeners. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.
Thanks.